Welcome to the Digital Energy AI Dialogues with me, Julian Walker, Director of Communications at Digital Energy AI, where our series look at the impact that AI is having on the energy world. And I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague, Jimmy Thatcher, Head of AI at Digital Energy AI. And we're going to talk about the impact that AI has on energy companies. Now, let's bust a myth. What's one of the biggest misconceptions energy companies have about AI?
Yeah, look, you look at AI, right, and you think, it's just another technology. I can get it, I can bottle it, I can put it in my organization, I can treat it just the same, right? And no, what you have is a nearly an exponentially growing intelligence. And that is the fundamental difference. You're going to have to treat this thing almost like it is a new person or a new army of people coming into your company. If you don't do that, you're going to fail at your AI transformation, right? Look, it's almost like when our capacity to generate data got high enough, right, worldwide, suddenly we found a way to train these massive transformer models, right? And I think the narrative has fundamentally shifted. Used to say, data is the new gold, company data, extremely valuable, protected at all costs. Okay, all that's still important, right? Still important for operations, everything else. Is it important for AI? No, because we took a model and we trained that model on the entire internet, right? So now what's that mean? It means that model has a model of the world. It means it can reason. I don't know if it can think, okay? It's still artificial, but it is an intelligence. And that's gonna make a fundamental difference.
And that fundamental difference, how is it going to unlock value for the companies? And let's go beyond the buzzwords of a dashboard or data centers.
Yeah, sure. Look, you're talking about increasing intelligence. Okay? So think about what that means. So, okay, I'm an engineer, right? Say, you have an engineer in a company, right? Okay, fantastic. And that engineer normally has a particular set of skills, a particular knowledge base that they draw from, right? Okay, what if I can increase those skills? What if I can drastically increase that knowledge base? What does that mean for that engineer? It means he gets much better at processing information. He gets much better at thinking, right? At coming to the right decisions. His processing ability, intelligence, whatever you want to call it, is suddenly drastically increased. And now, what's that mean for his department? What's that mean for the organization? If you manage your culture, you have your right processes in place, and we'll talk about that. If you have all the right enablers in place, that means the intelligence of the department is increased. That means the intelligence of the organization is increased. And that's really the story that we're talking about, right? It's the ability of a group of people to collaborate around a common goal and be able to reach that goal much quicker because they have access to more information and they have ability to scale their intelligence, right? I think that's the fundamental story.
Yes, and you touched on the mindset, the culture, and that's going to be a key element of bringing companies along with AI.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say a key. I would say it's the key element. I think one of our earlier podcasts, there was a quote that if you have a people problem, you'll have an AI problem, and an even bigger AI problem. Okay, well, think back. If you're increasing the process capacity, if you increase the processing capacity of your workforce, right? If they're able to come to decisions quicker, share information quicker, right? Able to scale their intelligence, but you have a dysfunctional organization that's not integrated, that can't share communication, that's siloed. You're just going to get more of that, right? You're going to get more of that times 1,000. Because, look, say this to leaders of any organization, you thought it was bad when everyone had an Excel, right? Everyone's got their own Excel and they're not connected and because of that we need some platform and software comes in. Okay, you thought that was bad. Now imagine you take an agent, right? Or an AI system. And everyone's got their own little system that's doing their own little things, and all this is not integrated together, right? And communication is not happening, and you don't have the culture behind it. You're talking about a massive problem, an absolutely massive problem. And the real scary thing is you actually have no way to control that in your organization other than to get ahead of it, right? Because your engineers are going to go out and put their drawings into ChatGPT and say, hey, tell me what I'm missing. As soon as they figure out they can do that, right? They may subscribe to that $200 version of it. And suddenly they have a lot more insights than they ever did, right? And okay, great. If you as a company, you as an organization don't get out ahead of that and you're able to manage that, right? You will have all kinds of problems. You will have people disconnected, but a lot more powerful, a lot more ability to process information in a disconnected way.
Yeah, and paint us a picture then of what a future-proof AI company would be then.
That's a really interesting question. A future-proof AI company. Well, say just you need to reimagine your processes, and you need to reimagine your people. There's a really interesting article that came out. It was an article put out by Microsoft, kind of a study they did, right, looking at some various adopters of AI and doing some surveys and things like that. And they have a really interesting idea that, suddenly it's not going to be about HR or IT, right, that manages this new intelligence. You're going to have something, you're going to have an entirely new department, right, whose job of that new department is to manage this intelligence and to understand it, right? And you have all kinds of concepts. But effectively, you have to get your enablers right. You have to be willing to innovate. You have to have a culture of experimentation, right? You have to have a culture of fail fast. You can't be afraid anymore of, we have to have, this exactly right, that exactly right, this process, that process. No, you have to let go of all that. And the companies that do that will succeed. The companies that don't, they're going to stagnate.
Yeah, and what would you say one of the biggest thing that leaders miss out on of what the barriers to scaling up AI is, and just they don't think about it. It's something that they miss. They're not focusing on it, and they just think bring the technology in, and that will sort us out.
I go back. It's still getting the culture right, the training right, getting your organization upskilled where they can harness this effectively. Right, that's the blocker. That's the only blocker to scaling this. Right, okay, it's a difficult blocker to overcome. There's no doubt about that. But fundamentally, I go back to that message.
Brilliant, Jimmy. Well, thanks for coming to sit with me. And these are great points that energy companies really want to hear, and exciting times ahead.
Yeah, I think so. It's extremely exciting times ahead. It's moving very, very fast. So I hope people are able to get out ahead of it and manage that successfully. But it's been great, Julian. Thank you so much. See you on the next time.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll be back with more insights in how the AI is changing the energy world here on Digital Energy AI Dialogues.